We've been running the 4th Symposium of Potato Cyst and Nematode Management, and this is the second day of the event, and so far it's been very, very good. We've heard from a lot of different people. Some people have been bringing up new findings on cultivar resistance and new cultivars and evidence of suppression against PCN. We've also heard from other people who've been looking at some of the more alternative methods. So we've heard about biofumigants, and we've also heard today about legislation and how legislation is being used in Scotland and how it's been implemented, and a new diagnostic for PCN, which is quite exciting, which could be rolled out to quantify the pest in the future. And we've also heard about what's happening in the Netherlands and the legislation there and how it's enforced, and the variety of different strategies that are currently being used, current ones, but also new innovative strategies which possibly we could be all looking at here in the UK in the future. The next session which we have is on poster presentations, and this is quite a nice part of the conference because a lot of the poster presentations are by students, and what we want to do is to try and have a student prize during this poster session to recognise good student performance and presentation. And this has given us a really nice opportunity to remember Pat Haydock, who was the founder of the nematology group at Harper Adams University and also the founder of the conference. This is the 4th event, and so we have 2 prizes, one which recognises good performance in the posters and another one which is recognising good presentation skills in the platform presentations. So in that way we're carrying on Pat's legacy and his input at the university.
One of the key things to start with about we had the conference kicked off with a chap called Thomas Bain from Wageningen, and he is well known for developing models and actually identifying where PCN, like good strategies to find PCN in the field, and that's really, really core to everything that we do, because before we do anything else, control measures or anything, we've got to find them. So he's developed this thing called NemaDecide, this program, absolutely fantastic program. Unlike the PC, the Potato Council version, it's a much smaller version of what he's actually done. And they rolled it out through their government to make a really big impact in Holland. So, and it was really good to hear him. You know, he gave sort of almost like 40-50 minute presentation about how it had been implemented, what he'd done. So I think that set the scene really well anyway. And then from then we've gone on, and you know, we had all the other stuff on PCN, which is the core of the conference, but this new element now, this bringing in the new species. You know, we've got some really good stuff coming through now about meloidogines, and it's frightening in a lot of ways because we have focused so much on PCN, and there's a lot of money gone into it, a lot of research gone into it, but as we've widened the scope of the conference, so then the people have come in and started to tell us about their problems, and that sort of like makes you think, well, from our point of view, in terms of researchers, that's really good, because we know that, you know, PCN is one problem. We can now extend our skills, extend, if you like, our undergrad or postgraduate bases, and bring more students in to study these particular nematodes. For the farmers, it's less good because it's yet another pest. And with things like meloidogine, although we have resistance in a lot of potatoes for particular types of PCN, we don't have resistance to meloidogine, and we know very little about it in terms of managing it in the UK. So that pretty much is a bit of a wake-up call. There hasn't been much in terms of other nematodes this year. There probably would be in future years, as people get used to sort of coming to the PCN or the symposium, and whether or not we need to change the title a bit more, I don't know. But we've also had things from Keith Davis. We're talking about pastura, so we're talking about all the nematodes anyway, and other ways of controlling nematodes. So that's been really good. University of Southampton came up, which was good, and they actually did some work on C. elegans, which is what we call a model nematode. And that's what we're also seeing now. So we've got people, again, branching out, and we're actually learning, and the audience is learning all about these different ways of actually looking, not just at that nematode that you're dealing with, but looking at other nematodes you can use as a model. So, and they use models for various reasons, and it's normally because we know a lot about how they work and how they behave. So if their response to one thing is A, then the response to perhaps pallida or rostokensis might also be A. So it helps us to make these things move forward. And that's been really good. And then, of course, we've also had some nice work from SASA again, up in Scotland, doing some resistance work. Resistance to pallida has been an enormous problem for us. And that, again, was a stark contrast, because one of the things Thomas Bain was saying on that plenary session was the fact that in Holland, they have resistant cultivars to pallida. And so they've actually got this massive armoury already. Whereas for us, we've got about 6 or 7 resistant varieties to it. And so we are so many steps behind them in that terms of control. So then to see the work up in Scotland, where they're working, again, we're not just working with the resistant cultivars, but classifying them, and that is our big problem. Because it's not full resistance, it's partial resistance. We need to know, is it a really good resistance? Is it really robust? Or is it just going to give us a little bit of control? So overall, we've had some fantastic talks, and we've yet to finish those at the moment. We've just had a little bit flash presentations from the PhD students and some other people over these short 2-minute presentations. And that again is really good. You get a quick snapshot of lots of things which you wouldn't normally see. So overall, it's been a fantastic thing, and it's good that it's our program, because we've got a good nematology base to work from. So it's been brilliant.